Do you ever feel like you don't belong? So for me, I've actually had that feeling for many years, and it was after I got out of high school. So high school, I felt really secure, really good at who I was, the place in society I was, and I'm not sure a lot of us feel that way coming out of high school and going into college or whatever. But when I came out of high school, I went into the Marines, and I found myself in a different way within the Marines. But when I came back home, when I got honorably discharged from the Marines, came back home into Wisconsin and started trying to find where I fit in back home here, because I got ripped out. So I went into this totally different side stream and did something completely different than everybody else in my hometown, in where I, grew up, came back to live, was doing. So they all had their friendships going. Everybody else had everything else going for them. They were to strengthen all these relationships that they had to where I needed to start new relationships. So I didn't fit in. I didn't feel like I should be there. I didn't know where I belonged. And that was very hard to deal with. And like I said, that took many years for me to eventually find myself. I had a lot of obstacles, bumps in the roads. Many things happened to me that derailed me from where I thought my path should be. This might all have worked out in the master plan to get me where I am today. But even today, there are certain times where I feel what people call imposter syndrome, where you don't feel like you belong, or if you're trying to progress, you're trying to create a new you, be in different circles, progress yourself, grow, become greater, become better. You're stepping into an area, into an arena where you have no clue about this environment. Any of it, the people in there, the way you're supposed to conduct yourself, the way you're supposed to talk, the things you're supposed to talk about. You know none of this, but you want to. So you try to go in there, thinking and showing people that you belong there. So then you start doubting yourself. You start feeling like you're an imposter. You're living in somebody else's skin, somebody else's shoes, and you start to harp on yourself. And that's the one bad thing, not the one bad thing, but many bad things that society does to us, is it beats us down and makes us feel like we don't belong. And then it has us do that to ourselves, which just spirals us down. So for me, trying to be in the life coach, personal development, self-development area of life, looking to help you develop yourself to be greater, better than where you are now, to live the life you only dreamed of, there are times where I feel like I'm an imposter because I want to live this amazing life where nothing bothers me. Not that I don't care about things, but nothing bothers me. I'm under control of my emotions. I have the power. I can make the choices to live the life I want to live. But there are days I'm unable to do that. And it's because of this up here and this here. There's a battle. And I'm still trying to find myself while I'm walking this path of helping you find yourself. And honestly, for me, it's been reading the books, it's been reading the blogs, the papers, the watching the YouTube videos, or going to courses and doing seminars and workshops. It's doing all this knowledge gathering to help me understand myself, which I want to pay it forward and give you that knowledge as well. But it's helping me to define and find myself to where I don't have this imposter syndrome anymore. But it's not only that, I've used it to where I can turn that around and use that imposter syndrome for me as kind of a cue. I help people build habits. So we're looking at building a cue of, hey, this happens, so then this course of action needs to happen to desired result here. So the cue of me being in an environment and not feeling like I belong, like I said, is my cue of turning that imposter syndrome around and saying, the reason why I'm feeling like I don't belong here is because this is exactly where I need to be. We're trying to stretch ourselves. We're going beyond our boundaries, outside of our comfort zone, our box of security. And that's the only way we're going to grow, is to get outside of ourselves, is to stretch ourselves, is to put ourselves in an environment and situations that we feel uncomfortable in. We feel scared in. Not physically harming scared, but knowing that you may not be where you're supposed to be, but you are supposed to be there. And that's what I'm trying to teach you is, how can I turn this imposter syndrome that creeps into my brain? How can I turn that around and work for me? Let's use that as a cue. And it takes work. Everything in life takes work. Doesn't matter what you want to do. If you're building a house, it takes work to build a house. You can't just snap your fingers and boom, it's there. Whether you're doing the work or somebody else, you're paying somebody else to do it. If you're trying to grow vegetables, you're trying to grow a garden, you can't just plant the seed, walk away, boom, you have a tomato plant, fully grown and beautiful tomatoes on there. It doesn't happen. You've got to sow the seed, you've got to water it, you've got to grow it, take care of it, fertilize it, all this stuff. All this work happens to get that to the desired result. The same thing happens with us. We need to put in work to get a desired result. So when we go into those arenas and those environments around those people where they seem like they're better than us, or we tell ourselves that they may be better than us because they've been in this environment longer, they've been in this pond longer. So we're in this bigger pond where the small fish, we belong there. You belong in that environment. You belong in that pond. You just need to believe it and use that to your benefit. Knowledge speaks, wisdom listens. And I take that to heart in every interaction I have with people. Is I put myself into the environment of, I'm a toddler, I'm a baby, I'm a newborn, I have no clue what you're talking about, what you're doing, so I'm going to ask questions and I'm going to sit and listen. Even if I do know the subject, even if I do know the material and I'm the expert in the situation, the actual expert, I'm going to sit there and pretend like I'm the novice. I want to learn from you. I use that imposter syndrome to my benefit, saying, you know what, I'm scared in this situation. I'm afraid in this situation that I might be caught. Someone might shine that light on me. All the other lights are going to get blacked out. There's going to be one light on me. Everyone's going to stare, and I'm going to be looked at as a fraud. I get that feeling. I get that sensation. But I use that not to increase the fear and then black everything else out and not be present, but I use that cue of being an imposter as, this is where I need to sit and learn. So when you feel that imposter syndrome creep up in your mind, don't let that fear overtake you. And this takes practice so that you can sit there in the moment and say, you know what? I do belong here. I may not know everything. I may not be the keynote speaker, the expert, the wise one, the guru, but I belong here. I have something to offer these people. But I want to learn from you. I want to learn from that person. I want to learn from her. I want to learn from him. So I'm going to ask the questions. Whether they're dumb questions or not, it doesn't matter. Knowledge is knowledge. But first, you need to put yourself in the position to be in that position to gain the knowledge. It's all steps. A lot of my analogies in my coaching, I use ladders, the rungs of a ladder. Each rung of a ladder is a new step to obtain your overall arching goal. But you need to take each step. There's no shortcuts. There's no magic pills. There's no get quick schemes or life hacks or side hustles. It's putting in the work. It's putting yourself in those uncomfortable positions to get that cue of, I might feel like an imposter as a fraud, to be able to turn that feeling around and empower you, to give you the influence and empower you to make those decisions to put you on the right path to achieve your dreams. So that's how I do it. That's how I use imposter syndrome to benefit myself. I turn it around on itself and say, you know what? If I'm feeling like an imposter, that means I'm in the right place. And now I can use that to say, what do you do? How do you do it? Where'd you get your knowledge? What areas do you study? What places do you go? What is your routine? What are your habits? What do you like? What do you dislike? What are your days like? All these questions start to come out when you act in spite of the fear, because you know it's going to be to your benefit. One thing my coach helped me understand as well with dealing with imposter syndrome is that serial killers never ask themselves if they're serial killers. That took me a little bit to understand, but when I got it, I'm like, if you feel like you need help or aid in this imposter syndrome and how to overcome it and use it to your benefit, I highly encourage you to click the link in my bio and sign up for a free conversation with me. And we can look at how we can get you beyond your sticking point, beyond those obstacles that you might be facing, and get you back on your path to creating the life of your dreams. So I highly encourage you to click that link. Also, click the link to my Red membership. I have daily transformational videos in this membership that will help you each and every day to gain the knowledge that you need and offer some tools on how to develop yourself, to get beyond limiting beliefs, to combat the trauma that you might be experiencing in certain situations, and feel more about yourself and feel more in tune and belief in yourself that you do belong. You are supposed to be there, and you are supposed to be there in that situation, in that environment, and rocking it. So sign up for that free conversation, sign up for my Red membership, and I'll see you next week.